Welcome to Fantasy Legends. My name's Scott, and today we'll be looking at my first impressions of the Pixel remake for Final Fantasy 1, 2 and 3. In the video, I'll be playing my first Final Fantasy 1 playthrough in the remaster, just so you can see the first few minutes of it, what it looks like, and things for yourself. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm thinking of doing a Final Fantasy 1 playthrough at some point, probably the mobile version, just to see how that goes. Let me know if that'd be something you're interested in the comments below. The playthrough that you can actually see at the moment is of the mobile version. I use this version because this is actually what the developers were going for, so I thought I would start with this version to see how it plays rather than the PC version, which is sort of adapted, but they were sort of going for the mobile market in this version, so I thought I would start with that. Full disclosure, I've only had the first few hours with each of these games, so I'm just really giving my first impressions rather than a full review, but I thought I'd go over the features for the people that were interested and the price and just see if people thought it was worth buying. First thing to note with these games is they're actually remasters of the original Famicom games. So rather than having the DS versions where they had extra dungeons and things like that, these are just literally faithful to the original versions. So much so in Final Fantasy 3, you're just named the Onion Knights, the unnamed Onion Knights. So whereas the remakes actually gave them names. A huge difference in gameplay is that Final Fantasy 1 and 3 do not have MP points. In fact, they just have numbers of spells that you can use per day or per rest in this case. So obviously it's a bit like of a Dungeons and Dragons system if anyone's played that. One thing I did note that is a bit of a departure from the originals is they actually have trophies in the game and a bestiary. I'm not too sure if the bestiary was in the original game about 30 years ago. I'm not too sure, but it's there in this remaster now. The change they made is that you'll always be able to see the minimap, and also you'll be able to enlarge the minimap, so you'll get more information about the shops, the dungeons, so you won't have to remember like in previous games where you had to do this weird number combo just to get open the map. First thing you'll notice looking at the footage that I've got playing is that the graphics are significantly better than the original, to be honest with you, and the sprite work is actually really decent this time. You can see there the detail on the sprite work is much more than the originals ever was. Also notice that this translates to the enemies as well as the backgrounds as well, so the sprite work and the background, just graphics in general, are 10 times better than what they were in the original. One thing I did notice is that the spells and effects look a bit pixelated and /3D, so it's like pixelated graphics on top of 3D. It doesn't look quite right, in my opinion. It's something they could have worked a bit more on. Another thing that looked a bit off to me was the text boxes, and when you're looking at your MP or your features or even talking to an NPC, they don't quite look like the original. They look a bit off, so it sort of stands out from the rest of the scenery. The thing I didn't quite like, which may only be for the mobile version, was the controls, to be honest with you. Sometimes they were a bit unresponsive with the touchscreen. Now, I'm using the iPhone 12, so you'd think it would be quite good in terms of responsiveness for the actual controls, but however, sometimes they just wouldn't move, or sometimes it was hard to get to the exact right angle of opening a chest or talking to an NPC, which could be quite annoying. Last thing I didn't really like, to be honest with you, was the price. It was $11.99 for the first game and the second game, and $14.99 for the third game in the UK prices, so that's in pounds. I'm not too sure what it is in American dollars or in the American market this time, but in the UK market, certainly it's overpriced. Last thing I'd like to mention is the music, which has been redone, from what I understand, under the supervision of Nobu himself, and to be honest is quite great. It does sound a lot better than it used to, and most of the remaked soundtracks sound a lot better than the originals. There you have it, my first impressions of the games after a first few hours of playing them. I'd like to do a full review once I get, a few hundred hours of playing all three, just to see all the mechanics, see how the game works, feels, rather than giving the full review right now. As I said earlier, I'm thinking about doing a playthrough of Final Fantasy 1 on a Let's Play. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in the comments down below. I'll be using the mobile version, as again, I think that's probably what the directors and developers were going for when they were looking at this game, as they wanted to look at the new market into mobile and introduce them to new Final Fantasy fans. So I think it'd be best, more genuine experience, shall I say, to use that version. Anyways, thank you for listening, and please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.